All right, well, welcome along, Miller Fly Time. Up already in the air and on my way to the Brainerd Airport. I'm gonna go get myself a little late lunch or early lunch, more breakfast, brunch type meal. So we'll see what we get when we get there. Anyways, this is a little 360 view on the ride up. Climbed up to, I don't know, about 4,500 feet and cruised at that altitude all the way up. See the lake there. And now we are on our way in and heading on final for Brainerd. So here we are on final. There's a few airplanes. One was doing a low pass. A lot of aircraft in the area. But right when I was landing, it seemed like everyone had taken off. There is an airplane in the downwind talking to, but everything looks clear. Ended up just coming straight in. I was gonna like circle the pattern with all the traffic, but they all kind of dissipated right before I got there. So I just lined up with final, and just again, it's a beautiful afternoon, or midday I should say, not afternoon, but nice clear skies. Able to slow the airplane down, nice cool air, so it kind of glides nice and easy. It has a little longer glide slope and a little thicker air. So you can see as we get up here a little closer, as we're climbing down, nice easy glide slope. Slow the aircraft down to roughly about 80 miles an hour. Got my flaps on full. There is a little road right off the end of the runway here, but got a little opening with all the trees and all that, so but you're really not focusing on the cars. You're plenty clear of them. You're looking down the runway. There's two runways, one basically north and south and one east and west, so we'll see how short I can come in and land and see if I can get to the taxiway or not here. So here we go, getting close to the runway. I gotta land past those little white marks, so I'll come in. Here we go, flare, almost right after the numbers. Able to slow down. You can see the runway goes on a long ways because big jets come in here, but we're able to land and turn right away onto the runway. So now we have just a little bit of a taxi across down this taxiway. There's another taxiway. So now we're gonna taxi up to the airport. Now at this airport, they do have commercial flights that do come in and out of here. So there's like a commercial side, and then there's a general aviation side to this. So I will go to the general aviation side. So we're gonna taxi all the way up to there. Once we get all the way up here, it's a little bit of a taxi, but you're just kind of taking your time here. Again, you don't see too many other aircraft. You can kind of see the sky, just some super high little clouds out there. And just it's a long taxiway just because, like I said, some bigger aircraft come in here. So, and then since I take off from a small grass strip my house, you get used to landing short and using up little amounts of the runway and not floating down all the runway. But as you're learning and stuff to fly, nice long runway gives you plenty of time to slow down, because you usually end up coming in a little too fast, a little too high, and kind of drags you down the runway. But here we go. So it is a little taxiway. I could have sped this part of the video up, but I thought it looked kind of neat looking out at the clouds and kind of seeing everything. So this is going to be real time from landing to taxiing, you know, all the way to my parking spot. Sometimes there's other aircraft, and sometimes there are a lot of line of aircraft, and you got to keep your eye open and stuff over here. So, but right now it's pretty slow today at the airport. When I'm leaving, there's a few more aircraft coming in and stuff. I'm a little before lunch, so the end of breakfast, so kind of a low spot, slow spot of the day. So over there, straight ahead, that's where the commercial side is, and then as I taxi over here, I will get to kind of the general aviation side of the airport. There is the restaurant over there too, you can see. You can see a couple other little small aircraft that are sitting down there. Sometimes you could have this thing filled up with all sorts of them. But here we go. We're gonna go over and pull into my parking spot, and we'll shut it down, and we'll climb out. All right, plane's parked. There's the entrance, and there's the restaurant. Here's the restaurant, Wings Cafe. So I got my order in here, and I decided to go with some kielbasa, eggs, and toast. Really good. And the one thing you can't forget is some caramel rolls for the ride home. All right, well, that was it. Got my lunch and some caramel rolls. Now it's time to taxi back. I taxied already out to the runway. I'm gonna take off a different runway here, and we're gonna head home. So there was again some traffic, so I'm looking around, seeing if there's any traffic, any bigger aircraft. Seems clear, so clear for takeoff. And you can see I'm not going to take a whole lot of this runway, so you're just there, you pull back, and you are in the air. So we are climbing. The camera does adjust the prop there. We could have off to the side, but kind of go through the prop. When you're flying, you don't really see the prop a whole lot, but with the camera at the speed it does. So you can see as we're climbing here, there's the other runway that goes north and south. It was super, the winds were calm, so you could land and take off basically anywhere. So you use as little runway as you can either way. There was a little wind from the north, and people were using north runway when I landed, and so it was easy to do that. But taking off, everyone was kind of gone. So taking off to the east here, and again away from the airport traffic, and then I'm gonna climb up high enough here, and then I'm going to turn and head back home to the south. Just off as you curve here, there's a little bit of, as we're gonna turn here and check to make sure there's no other aircraft trying to use the runway and doing a long or something. Should have been climbed up high enough to get up and out, to get out to the south. Making my radio calls and everything. And so here we go. Cruising along. I'm gonna climb up to about 3,500 feet here for the way back. There's Mille Lacs Lake. So, nice view out there. Just cruising along, just some little clouds out there. Bunch of little lakes everywhere. So it's a beautiful day to be out flying. There's another view of more of the sun and all that stuff. And the clouds as we circle. I am now back. I kind of warped here back to home. I am getting ready to get into the pattern for home here. So I'm turning the downwind. So the runway is off to my left right now. So I'm going to slow the aircraft down. It had quite a tailwind, so we were cruising 170, 185, depending on the altitude on the way back as I descended down. So it was probably an average about 180 on the way back. So you gotta slow it down to about 80 miles an hour, so you gotta bleed off about 100 miles an hour of airspeed. You can just adjust it real easy. And then once you get it down there under 100, add the flaps, slow it down, get it on a consistent 80 miles an hour, get everything, your trim tabs and everything set so there's minimal pressure on the stick in this aircraft. I'm making my calls. There's a little more traffic out there now. There's some people in Princeton and some people over in Malacca. So I keep my eyes open to make sure that nobody's coming across. Gonna turn my base leg here. Again, you can just see the sky, and you got all the fields out there. They're everything's been picked and everything there, and they're starting to turn the fields under for the winter. Keeping a consistent 80 miles an hour. Gonna turn final. One last check to make sure no one's landing out at the runway or doing a low pass or something. It's a little grass strip, so a lot of people like to come down and do low passes, which is really fun, but at the same time you gotta keep your eyes open for that when they're coming around. So on final here, the winds aren't too much right at the ground. There's about a 5 mile an hour headwind here as you're slowing down through the air speeds. The lower you get, the less wind, but so you can see the windsock off to the right there. It's not moving too much. So nice, here we go. Flare out there. I actually kind of bleed just a little bit farther down the runway, but at least it felt like it. But so now I'm gonna taxi myself back and get myself back towards the runway here. All right, well, all back down on the ground here. Just had a little flight to get a little breakfast. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day.